Welcome to the Charting Courses Podcast, a show brought to you by the team at Ventura MedStaff, dedicated to helping traveling medical professionals navigate the world of travel healthcare. I'm Luke.
And I'm Brittany.
In today's episode, we'll be talking about how to build a standout resume. Your travel nurse resume is the first impression that hiring managers have of who you are and your work experience, along with whether or not you would be a good fit at their facility. Travel nursing has exploded as a career, and for popular assignments, there are typically many applicants vying for the same opportunity. When it comes to securing a top travel nursing assignment, a standout resume can make all the difference. To help travelers craft the perfect resume, we've gathered insights from our own recruiters at Ventura MedStaff to share. Before we go over our experts' tips, Brittany, are there any general resume best writing practices?
Yeah, I think something you want to understand is that hiring managers go through hundreds or even thousands of resumes to find the right person, and most are only going to spend a few minutes per resume looking it over. They need to be able to scan it quickly and easily and find all the skills and qualifications they need to move you on to the next stage of the interview process. That's why it's especially important to be clear, concise, and use bullet points to clearly list your professional qualifications for each position. Begin each bullet with an action word. If it's a current job, be sure to use present tense. The past job, use past tense. Also, don't get too wordy. The key is to write your bullet points as short as possible without making grammatical errors or losing context.
Yeah, using the correct verb tense is crucial, as sometimes it's easy to go back and forth between tenses, especially as your experience kind of fills up. Great thing to point out. What types of information should travelers include in their resume?
They'll want to make sure to only include relevant travel experience. I mean, that may seem like a no-brainer, but some have made the mistake of including more information than necessary. It's important to stick to what's relevant. It means, not including your time volunteering at a soup kitchen or the grocery store job you worked in high school. Only past nursing or healthcare work.
Yeah, unless you've been wearing scrubs since high school, chances are your first relevant career experience happened sometime in your college years. So, how can travelers tailor their resume to the position they're applying for?
It's important to specify certain skills and experiences that are relevant to the position. So that means if a hospital uses a certain charting system and you have experience with it, make sure you mention it. If there's anything that can give you an extra edge when applying, use it and highlight it. Things like your education, listing out relevant degrees, seminars, certifications, or even trainings you've attended. It's also a good idea to list any special skills along with your overall strengths.
All very helpful tips. So, what's your final piece of advice for writing the perfect resume?
Don't overlook formatting and proofreading. You could have all the perfect qualifications for the job, but if your resume isn't formatted correctly or it's full of grammatical errors, then your chances of being considered drop dramatically. Formatting and grammar are your reflection of professionalism on paper. Going back, I had mentioned earlier, bullet points are the best way to list your qualifications, but make sure that every bullet is aligned and the line spacing is consistent. You'll also want to make sure you're using the same font and same font styles throughout your resume. For example, if you're using size 14 font in bold for your headings, be sure that all headings have the same format. And when proofing, don't just rely on spell check. Read your entire resume out loud slowly. And once you're done, send it to a friend or a family member. A second set of eyes is a great way to catch any mistakes you may miss.
This is all really good stuff so far. Definitely could have helped me a few years back. And really, it all sounds like it boils down to just being consistent, professional, and making sure your skills are highlighted. So, what did you find out when you spoke to our recruiters?
They really wanted to emphasize the importance of why a good resume matters. Your resume is not just your first impression with the manager, it's also going to be the first thing your recruiter sees. It gives them a clear picture of your qualifications so they can match you with the best positions. Plus, our recruiters pointed out that some travel positions don't require formal interviews. In those cases, your resume needs to speak for itself. Highlighting achievements and showcasing your aptitude can make you more appealing to hiring managers. And, also a good resume can affect speed to market. The better your resume, the quicker they can format it for facilities and submit you for the job you want.
So, what was their advice for actually writing the good resume?
Our recruiters agree that adding a summary of yourself, your goals, key achievements, relevant experience, it can set the stage for a compelling resume. They recommended including specifics about each job that showcased your expertise. And instead of using general statements like assessed patients, administered medications, they said you should highlight specialized skills such as chest tube management, central line care, or drip titration. When listing your experience, they stress that it's important to know the actual location you worked in and not just the healthcare staffing agency you used. Not only does this provide valuable insight into the settings and environments where you've gained experience, it's also a compliance requirement.
And you don't want to mess around with compliance.
No, you do not. They also mentioned to always list the charting system you used, the unit size, and the patient ratios if applicable. Note whether the position was permanent or a travel assignment, because these details can speak volumes about your adaptability and experience level. They also said when listing your licenses and certifications, it's important to include expiration dates, educational details such as schools attended, and relevant degrees. These elements showcase your professional foundation. And don't forget to highlight what makes you unique. If you worked in a highly specialized unit, you're a Daisy Award winner, or you're bilingual, those are going to be key differentiators that make you stand out to hiring managers. Also, be honest about employment gaps. Don't be embarrassed about taking time off. Just communicate that it was planned time off and not an oversight in your employment history.
So, sounds like a long list of helpful to-dos, but sometimes knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what you should do. So, did our recruiters mention any common mistakes that travelers should look out for?
Oh boy, did they. They said it's important to avoid cluttering your resume with irrelevant information, and they emphasize that job responsibilities should focus on common patient populations, floors or units worked on, and specific procedures performed. Many resumes are first screened by HR personnel or even automated systems. These systems look for keywords that match the job description. The more cluttered your resume, the harder it is to make a good first impression.
Any last tips?
I really think they wanted me to stress the importance of adaptability and leadership. The market is more competitive than ever, so highlight your ability to adapt to new environments and any leadership roles you've held. It's important to remain open and flexible. Recruiters might bring you opportunities you didn't initially consider, but sometimes those unexpected assignments turns out to be the best ones. And if you're unsure about writing your resume and what's relevant, consult your recruiter because they're always there to help.
Thank you, Brittany. With these tips, you'll be able to create a resume that not only catches the eye of hiring managers, but also opens the door to incredible travel opportunities. Start polishing your resume today and set yourself up for success on your next adventure. At Ventura MedStaff, our recruiters are always available to offer advice. They serve as your advocate and consultant, guiding you on your next travel journey. Visit VenturaMedStaff.com or call 402-509-5532 to connect with one today. Thank you for listening to the Charting Courses podcast, brought to you by Ventura MedStaff. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a like, share it with your friends, and follow our channel so you never miss an episode.